You think you're free? What if I told you that your freedom is the most sophisticated prison ever built? Right now, you're sitting there thinking you made the choice to watch this video, but did you really? Or did an algorithm decide for you? Here's what happened this morning. You woke up, and within 3 minutes, you checked your phone. You told yourself you'd just look for 2 seconds. 47 minutes later, you're still scrolling. Sound familiar? You're not weak. You're not lazy. You're trapped in a system designed by the smartest minds on the planet to keep you clicking, scrolling, and consuming. In 1932, a British writer named Aldous Huxley wrote a book called Brave New World. He predicted a future where people wouldn't be controlled by fear or violence. Instead, they'd be controlled by pleasure, by comfort, by getting everything they wanted instantly. The scariest part? They'd love their chains so much, they'd never want to break free. 92 years later, Huxley wasn't just right. He was terrifyingly accurate. You can order food in 30 seconds, but you can't sit in silence for 30 seconds. You have access to all human knowledge in your pocket, but you use it to watch people dance for 15 seconds at a time. You're more connected than any generation in history. So why do you feel so alone? Here's the truth no one wants to admit. You're living in Huxley's world right now, and just like he predicted, you're begging for more. Think about your great-grandfather for a second. When he was bored, he sat with his thoughts. When he wanted something, he waited. When he needed to know something, he went to the library or asked a neighbor. His brain had time to rest, to think, to create. Now look at you. The average person checks their phone 144 times per day. That's every 6 minutes you're awake. Your attention span has dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds in just 20 years. A goldfish can focus longer than you can. Let that sink in. But here's what's really scary. You have 2.5 million choices in a modern grocery store. Netflix has 15,000 movies. Spotify has 70 million songs. Amazon has 350 million products. Yet with all these choices, depression rates have tripled in the last decade. Anxiety disorders affect 40 million adults in America alone. The more options you have, the more miserable you become. This isn't happening by accident. Your brain wasn't designed for this world. For 200,000 years, humans lived in small groups with maybe 150 people. We had the same routine every day, the same food, the same faces. Our brains evolved to handle scarcity, not abundance. Now you wake up and immediately face infinite choices. What to wear, what to eat, what to watch, who to talk to, what to think about. Your brain is exhausted before you even get out of bed. Decision fatigue is real, and it's killing your ability to make good choices about the things that actually matter. But the worst part isn't the choices. It's that each choice promises happiness, but delivers emptiness. You buy something online and feel good for 5 minutes. You get likes on a post and feel validated for 10 minutes. You binge a show and feel entertained for 2 hours. Then what? You're back where you started. But now you need something bigger, something faster, something more. This is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. You keep running toward happiness, but the finish line keeps moving. Your great-grandfather found joy in a sunset. You need a notification to feel anything at all. So who's behind this? Who designed this prison of comfort that you can't escape? Meet the real villains. They're not evil dictators or secret societies. They're Stanford graduates in Silicon Valley who studied human psychology to hack your brain. In 2017, a former Google executive named Tristan Harris stood up and confessed. He said tech companies hire teams of neuroscientists and behavioral economists for one purpose: to make their products as addictive as cigarettes. They study lab rats hitting buttons for cocaine, then copy those same techniques for your phone. Here's how they do it. Variable reward schedules. It's the same system that makes gambling addictive. You don't know when you'll get a like, a comment, or a message. So your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the reward, but when you're waiting for it. That's why you keep checking your phone, even when there's nothing there. You're addicted to the possibility, not the content. Nir Eyal, who wrote the book on building addictive products, calls it the hook model. First, they create a trigger, a notification, a red dot, a buzz. Then comes the action. You pick up your phone. Next is the variable reward. Maybe something interesting, maybe not. Finally, investment. You like, share, or comment, making you more likely to return. But here's the part that will shock you. The executives who designed these systems don't use them. Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. Google executives send their children to tech-free schools. Twitter's former CEO meditates for 2 hours every morning to counteract his own product's effects on his brain. They know exactly what they've created. Sean Parker, Facebook's first president, admitted they built the platform to exploit human psychology. He said they knew they were creating something that could consume your life, and they did it anyway. Not because they're evil, but because addiction is profitable. Every second you spend scrolling is money in their pocket. The longer you stay, the more ads they can show you, the more data they can collect about you, the more they can predict and control your behavior. You're not the customer. You're the product being sold to advertisers. This isn't capitalism. This isn't innovation. This is the systematic harvesting of human attention for profit. And just like Huxley predicted, they've convinced you that your cage is freedom. Now let's talk about what this is doing to you. Scientists at UCLA put heavy social media users in brain scanners. What they found was terrifying. The brain activity looked identical to people addicted to cocaine. The same neural pathways, the same chemical responses, the same withdrawal symptoms when taken away. Your brain is literally being rewired. Every notification creates a tiny hit of dopamine. But here's the problem. Your brain gets used to it. Soon you need more likes, more comments, more stimulation to feel the same rush. It's called tolerance, and it's the hallmark of addiction. Dr. Anna Lembke, a Stanford psychiatrist, discovered something shocking. Heavy technology users have baseline dopamine levels so low that normal life feels boring. A conversation with a friend can't compete with the instant gratification of a screen. A walk in nature feels like punishment compared to endless scrolling. You've literally broken your brain's reward system. But it's not just your brain. Look at your body. The average person's head weighs 12 pounds. When you look down at your phone, you're putting 60 pounds of pressure on your neck. Doctors are seeing teenagers with the spinal problems of 70-year-olds. They call it tech neck, and it's becoming an epidemic. Your sleep is destroyed. Blue light from screens tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime. Melatonin production stops. REM sleep decreases. You wake up exhausted even after 8 hours in bed. Then you reach for your phone to feel better, starting the cycle all over again. Your relationships are dying too. MIT professor Sherry Turkle studied families for 15 years. She found that even having a phone visible during conversation reduces empathy and connection. Partners look at their devices instead of each other. Parents miss their children's emotional cues because they're distracted by screens. kids learn that devices are more important than people. The loneliness epidemic isn't accidental. Despite being more connected than ever, young adults report being lonelier than elderly people in nursing homes. Depression among teenagers has increased by 70% since smartphones became common. Suicide rates for girls aged 10, 14 have tripled. These aren't just statistics. These are human souls being crushed by the weight of digital overwhelm. But here's the scariest part. You're losing the ability to think deeply. Nicholas Carr, who wrote The Shallows, discovered that constant digital switching rewires your brain for distraction. You can't read a book anymore without checking your phone. You can't have a long conversation without feeling restless. You're becoming mentally scattered, and it might be permanent. Your attention span isn't just shorter, it's fragmented. You're living life in notification-sized chunks, never fully present, never fully engaged. Like Huxley's characters in Brave New World, you're becoming incapable of sustained thought, deep feeling, or meaningful connection. Here's what Huxley really understood that most people miss. In his book, the government didn't control people with violence, like in George Orwell's 1984. They controlled them with a drug called Soma. One pill and all your problems disappeared. You felt happy, relaxed, and content. The catch? It wasn't real happiness. It was artificial pleasure that kept you from asking the hard questions about life. Sound familiar? Your phone is digital Soma. Instagram is digital Soma. Netflix is digital Soma. Every app on your phone is designed to give you that same artificial high that keeps you from facing reality. But Huxley knew something that modern psychologists are just rediscovering. There are two completely different types of happiness. The Greeks called them hedonia and eudaimonia. Hedonia is pleasure, the quick hit you get from food, sex, entertainment, or shopping. Eudaimonia is fulfillment, the deep satisfaction that comes from meaning, growth, and contributing to something bigger than yourself. Here's the problem. Hedonia fades fast and leaves you empty. Eudaimonia builds over time and creates lasting joy. But our entire culture is built around hedonia. Quick fixes, instant gratification, easy pleasure. We've forgotten that the best things in life require struggle. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, discovered something incredible in the concentration camps. The people who survived weren't the strongest or the smartest. They were the ones who found meaning in their suffering. They understood that happiness isn't the goal of life. Meaning is. Frankl said that if you give a person a strong enough why, they can endure any how. But look at modern life. We have endless how. How to be entertained, how to feel good, how to avoid discomfort. But we have no why, no purpose, no meaning that's bigger than our immediate desires. The ancient Stoics understood this too. Marcus Aurelius was literally the most powerful man in the world, but he didn't pursue pleasure. He pursued virtue. Epictetus taught that freedom comes not from getting what you want, but from wanting what you have. They knew that easy pleasure leads to slavery, while difficult growth leads to freedom. But we've been sold a lie, that comfort equals happiness, that convenience equals progress, that having more choices makes us more free. Huxley saw through this illusion. He understood that when everything is easy, nothing feels meaningful. When everything is instant, nothing feels valuable. When everything is available, nothing feels special. The deepest truth is this: your soul wasn't designed for endless comfort. It was designed for challenge, for growth, for struggle towards something meaningful. Every time you choose the easy path, you're choosing to stay small. Every time you pick digital pleasure over real engagement, you're trading your future self for your present comfort. But here's the good news. Throughout history, There have always been rebels who refused to accept the comfortable prison. They understood that freedom requires sacrifice, that meaning requires difficulty, that real joy comes from saying no to fake pleasure. Look at the Amish. While the rest of us are glued to screens, they're building furniture with their hands, growing their own food, and having face-to-face conversations. Their children have lower rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide than any other group in America. They chose limitations, and those limitations set them free. The ancient monks did the same thing. They gave up worldly pleasures, not because they hated life, but because they loved it too much to waste it on empty distractions. They understood that discipline isn't punishment. It's the price you pay for freedom. Modern digital minimalists are doing this too. Cal Newport, a computer science professor, has never had a social media account. He writes books, does deep research, and has meaningful relationships. He calls it digital minimalism, being very careful about what technology you let into your life. Here's how you can start fighting back. First, make your phone boring. Delete the apps that hijack your attention. Turn off all notifications except calls and texts. Put your phone in another room when you sleep. The goal isn't to become a hermit. It's to use technology as a tool, not an entertainment system. Second, add friction to your bad habits. Want to check Instagram? First, you have to do 10 push-ups. Want to watch Netflix? First, you have to read for 30 minutes. Make the things that drain you harder to access, and make the things that fulfill you easier to reach. Third, practice being bored. Set a timer for 15 minutes and just sit. Don't read. Don't listen to music. Don't do anything. Just exist with your thoughts. At first, it will feel like torture. That's your broken reward system screaming for stimulation. Push through it. Boredom is where creativity lives. It's where deep thinking happens. It's where you remember who you are. Fourth, replace digital connections with real ones. Instead of liking someone's post, call them. Instead of watching someone else's adventure on YouTube, go on your own adventure. Instead of consuming other people's thoughts, develop your own. Finally, find your why. Viktor Frankl was right. If you have a strong enough purpose, you can resist any temptation. What matters to you beyond your own comfort? What would you sacrifice for? What legacy do you want to leave? Without a compelling vision for your life, you'll always fall back into the comfort trap. The resistance starts with you. Every time you choose difficulty over ease, meaning over pleasure, connection over consumption, you're not just improving your own life, you're proving that humans can still choose freedom over comfort. You're becoming the kind of person Huxley hoped we could still become. Right now, you're at a crossroads. You can close this video and go back to scrolling, back to the comfortable prison, back to living someone else's life through a screen. Or you can choose the harder path, the path of resistance, the path of meaning. Your future self is watching this moment. 10 years from now, will you be grateful that you broke free? Or will you regret the life you wasted on fake pleasures and digital distractions? The choice you make right now will echo through every day of your remaining life. Huxley wrote something that will haunt you. Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. Don't be most human beings. Don't take your attention for granted. Don't take your relationships for granted. Don't take your one precious life for granted. In a world where everyone is choosing comfort, choosing difficulty is revolutionary. In a world where everyone is consuming, creating is rebellion. In a world where everyone is distracted, focus is a superpower. In a world drowning in cheap pleasure, choosing meaning is the ultimate act of defiance. The soft prison only works if you don't realize you're in it. Now you know. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Your real life is waiting on the other side of that phone screen. Stop watching other people live. Start living yourself. The revolution begins when you put down your phone and pick up your life. Choose meaning. Choose difficulty. Choose freedom. Your future self will thank you.